So, today I want to talk to you about one of the greatest Hollywood films ever made, and I think we're going to get into a bit of a tangent here. My husband and I traveled over the holidays, and on one of the flights, he decided that he was going to watch Singin' in the Rain on his phone. Okay. As he's watching it, I'm kind of watching a little bit over his shoulder, and it's a movie I'm pretty familiar with, so I recognized all of the bits and pieces that he was watching. The only thing that I really wanted to watch was the Moses Supposes number.
Moses supposes his toes are roses.
However, I thought I saw, as I was watching over his shoulder, something different about the number.
But Moses supposes erroneously.
The vocal coach that Don Lockwood is working with notices that Cosmo is looking at him funny, so he gives him kind of a stern look and then hands his book over to Don. This is performed twice in the movie because it happens once from one angle and then once from another angle. This was not that uncommon in editing of the time to kind of overlap the actions between the two angles. Although I've been noticing this error across all of the times that I've watched Singin' in the Rain, I never really thought of it as an error. I thought of it more as part of the movie. In today's filmmaking style, it is an error. This is what I thought I saw over Matt's shoulder, a version of the scene that cut out the duplication. This version of the scene cuts straight from the funny faces to handing over the book without the duplication. I slowed it down and put it side by side for you so you can see what I'm talking about. I thought that I saw this happen. I'm not completely sure. And I wondered if what had happened was whoever had prepared this movie for streaming had decided that this was an error in the film and they had to correct it. The thing that I wondered as Matt continued to watch the movie and I continued to try not to watch over his shoulder was whether they had corrected what actually is an error in the final cut of Singin' in the Rain. It's at the end of the film, during the Broadway melody number. For whatever reason, it seems like a small portion of the film was lost, and so even though the music overlaps it perfectly, there's a jump from one dance move to another without any fill-in in between. With today's technology, it seems likely that someone could have gone in and bridged this moment so that it moves smoothly from one dance move to another without any break in the experience. The thing that I started to wonder as I thought about this was whether this would be correcting an error or not. How do we consider a film finished? Just because it was made 70 years ago, that doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be corrected now. It may have flaws and errors and things that we can look on as mistakes. Those mistakes could be corrected if we wanted them to be. Just as today, we can digitally remove crew members who are accidentally in the shot, or coffee cups that are in the castles of Westeros. Whatever. These are things that can be corrected today digitally, and so could that shot be corrected digitally? Probably. But should it be? The thing that it made me think of was I learned from Light and Magic, the documentary series that's about industrial light and magic, that there was a moment in The Phantom Menace when George Lucas inserted one character/actor from one take and another character/actor from another take and put them together in this scene. And that bothered me a lot because it seemed like he wasn't recording a scene of any kind. It seemed like he was moving puppets around. Whenever you make a film, part of what you're making is the chemistry between the people who are having the experience on the set of the movie. That's inherent to filmmaking, is the craft of acting and a scene taking place in a real room between real people. The fact that Lucas cut and pasted two different people from two different takes and two different experiences of the chemistry in that room interacting really bothered me. If we fix these things that we consider errors now that the styles of editing and filmmaking have moved on, what's going to be fixed in the future that really wasn't an error at the time that the movie was released? I know that there are examples of filmmakers looking back on their work and deciding to fix it. And most of these examples are not great. That's an understatement. But fixing something like the editing in the Moses Supposes bit and the film break in the Broadway melody bit, I'm not sure if that's such a good idea, but I'm also not sure it's not. These are aspects of the film that are pretty imperfect comparatively, whether we're talking about cinematic trends or literal film craft. It's not a matter of politics changing or a filmmaker deciding that his instincts were wrong at the time, or a filmmaker maturing enough that he
25 år siden optagelserne af de gamle episoder sætter sine spor. I øvrigt kan jeg ikke leve op til den ulidelige kækhed, som den yngre Lars von Trier benyttede sig af. Og dog er netop forfængelighed den virkelige dræber.
Everyone who was involved in the making of Singin' in the Rain, I think, is long dead. What you're fixing without those filmmakers' permission. And I also wonder who decides that they're errors in the first place. The filmmaker cannot be trusted to decide what's an error, but I'm not sure that the audience can either. I know that this is a lot of rambling, and it's especially strange that I don't have any evidence that I saw this error being fixed when I was watching the film over Matt's shoulder, but it gave me something to think about, whether we can consider a film finished at any time in its lifespan. I guess that's all I have to say for today. If you haven't seen Singin' in the Rain, you should. I think that goes for just about anybody. I can't think of anyone that I wouldn't recommend this movie to. See you next time.
Bosca.